Why does the dragon appear in myths across civilizations, from Beowulf to the Hobbit, from Eastern wisdom traditions to Western legends? The dragon keeps returning. Why? In Chapter 7 of Children of the Matrix, Serving the Dragon, the Past, the dragon can be read as much more than a literal creature. It can be read as a symbol, archetype, shadow, power, temptation, fear, and maybe a force for humanity keeps meeting until it becomes conscious. Let's go there. Why the dragon matters. Myths repeat symbols for a reason, and the dragon is one of humanity's oldest symbols. Sometimes destroyer, sometimes guardian, sometimes keeper of treasure, sometimes embodiment of primal power. And maybe all of that matters psychologically. Because what if the dragon represents something in human consciousness? That changes everything. This chapter made me think of the dragon as a shadow, greed without wisdom, power without heart, control driven by fear, the parts of humanity not yet integrated. And maybe ancient myths weren't teaching us to stay monsters, but to confront the shadow. That is profound, because every awakening eventually meets the dragon. The treasure the dragon guards. In many myths, the dragon guards a treasure. I love that symbol, because often the thing we fear most guards what we most need: courage, truth, liberation, consciousness. And maybe the dragon is not only an obstacle, but is an initiator. What if the dragon guards awakening? That's beautiful. Serving the dragon. This chapter title fascinates me. What does that mean symbolically? Maybe it means serving fear, serving domination, serving ego, serving unconscious appetites. And maybe much of awakening is withdrawing energy from those forces, no longer feeding the dragon. That feels important. The dragon in history. I also hear the past in this chapter as reoccurring historical patterns, empires, conquest, power worship, cycles of domination. Maybe the dragon appears in history as repeating shadow, and consciousness seeing those patterns without becoming consumed by them. That's discernment. And I always bring it inward. Where do I serve the dragon? Through fear, through ego, through old wounds demanding control. That's honest work, because the dragon isn't only out there. Sometimes it lives in what we haven't integrated, and that is where transformation happens. The hero and the dragon. Nearly every myth has this journey. The hero meets the dragon, not to avoid it, to be transformed through it. And maybe awakening is exactly that, not escaping shadow, passing consciously through it. This may be the deepest teaching here. My biggest takeaway, my takeaway from this chapter: the dragon may symbolize whatever keeps consciousness asleep, but also the threshold we must cross. Maybe the treasure on the other side is sovereignty. That is powerful. Maybe the question is not, does the dragon exist, but what dragon are you still serving? Fear, control, old identity? And what treasure waits if you stop? If this resonates, subscribe. I'm walking chapter by chapter through Children of the Matrix, through myth, shadow, and sovereignty. And tell me, do you see the dragon as shadow or guardian of hidden treasure?